For episode 73 of The Voices of Boyle, I'm sitting down with Ciaran Casey, a very creative young man who's done everything from rap videos to feature-length documentaries and even snuck into the Royal Hotel for a bit of filming back in the day, which I'm sure a lot of you would remember. We chat about growing up in various locations, making it as a filmmaker, and what's it like telling stories from behind the camera. So whether you're a fan of local stories, filmmaking, or just love a good origin story, you'll find plenty to entertain in this episode. So let's get straight into it. Let's start off at the start. For those that don't know you, maybe give us a bit of background about where you were born and where you grew up.
Yeah, I was born in Sligo. I was raised in Cootall till I was like 3. Moved to Carrick and Shannon till I was like 5. And then we moved from Carrick to the UK because I had a brother who was born in 99. And he was born with a condition called homocystinuria, which is a metabolic disorder. You can't eat protein. So
Can't eat protein.
you can't eat protein. Like you can have 6 grams a day, 6 to 10 grams a day. But Ireland didn't have the facilities to accommodate back then. My mum would be doing like 2 to 3 journeys a week to Dublin just to go to Temple Street Hospital. And so we moved to the UK because they had the facilities. Lived there around 7 years, I think, and then came back when I was 12 to Anna Duff. And I don't know if you know Anna Duff.
I heard of it.
But when we got dropped off in Anna Duff, it felt like one of those movie scenes because we were living there. Like the bus drives off. It's just me, my mum, my brother and my sister. The bus goes away. I'm from Manchester. You know, I was living in Manchester, the mad city. And then the next minute the bus flies off and it's just like there's cattle, a church, a shop and a school, and that was it. And it was like the busk of the busy life of Manchester was just gone. It felt like one of those movies. Rural Ireland. And I remember even like driving in Ireland because the roads are so bouncy and stuff. Like I never experienced butterflies before, you know what I mean? Like so you're riding around these roads. And then moved to Carrick again after that. Went to like the boys' school in Carrick and Shannon and then community school. No, in Carrick.
Yeah, and
then Boyle, yeah, when I was about 18.
Okay, and why Boyle, or was there a reason you kind of moved over here?
It was, I think my mum moved, so
yeah,
I kind of followed her here. I was bouncing around from place to place at the time, but like Boyle was like headquarters at the time.
So you've been here in Boyle now, what, 8 years? 7, 8 years? In Boyle?
No. I was here about seven years, but I'm 30 now, so I had a kid in 2020, so I've been in Mayo for the past 4 years.
Oh, okay, so now you're based in Mayo.
Yeah, right next to Nokia Airport.
So you didn't like Boyle that much then, Ciaran?
No, I did. I love Boyle. Boyle's amazing.
Yeah. So just maybe to second to that, like obviously coming to Boyle when you were 18, you spent a few years here. What kind of likes, dislikes about the town in general would you have? It's always interesting to see here.
Yeah, I like Boyle is different from Carrick. Like so, like I grew up in Carrick, so at 18 when I came to Boyle, it wasn't like I knew everybody. So that was like the thing that wasn't the easiest to do. It was coming in like, hey, I'm here, I'm from here, and nobody knew this. You know, like when I came back from Manchester, nobody like knew me, but I knew other people.
Yeah,
you know, oh, that's such and so from my mum, and I was like, I'm a blow-in, so getting treated like a blow-in wasn't nice. It was like, no, I'm from here. But I like Boyle. I like the community aspect of Boyle. I like how like close everybody is, and that they're supportive. If you do something and Boyle notice, like they'll get behind you and they'll support you. But if like until you prove that you can do something,
yeah,
they're like, watch you out, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's true for most smallish towns as well. When someone comes in, and
100%,
kind of like you have to kind of maybe get initiated in a way.
Yeah.
But so now you're, for the past number of years, you're based in what part of Mayo?
Near Knock. right next to
okay.
Nokia, yeah.
All right. I would have known you, Ciaran, from here. We never met until today.
Mhm.
But I would have known you through your media company, Wilson Media.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of work around Boyle over the years.
Mhm.
So maybe tell us how you got into video in the first place. I know you mentioned something to me there about like filming with a Nokia back in the day.
Yeah.
How did
No,
all that start?
Just me mum, like when I turned 13, the day I turned 13, my mum set up me a Facebook account, a Bebo account, and she got me a Nokia phone. So I've been, so Bebo, I love my
Wow.
Bebo back in the day. I love Bebo. I miss Bebo so much. So I've been on I've been on Facebook for 17 years. That's nuts to me. That's how long it's been around. But she got me a Nokia phone, and then you could record videos on it. Like, it didn't have internet or nothing like that. It was just in case she needed to call me. But the day I found out you could record a video and pause and then move to the next location and record again at 13 blew my mind. Like, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can make short films, because if you couldn't pause, I probably wouldn't be as interested,
because you couldn't edit.
Couldn't edit.
Yeah.
So I used to run around and I'd make short films, like I'd pretend to jump out a window, and then you go to the next side and record again and have them jump. So it cut together, and then do like stop motion Lego, and man, I was obsessed. I couldn't stop. So then from there it was like, then I found out my mom had a camera. I wasn't allowed to touch this camera. Like, this was one of those DSLRs that, like, back there, and she was like, "This is my camera. Don't go near it." And I was like, I really wanted to use it. So when she'd go on a night out with my dad and have a babysitter, I'd sneak that camera and I'd start making videos at home, and then using Windows Movie Maker.
Oh yeah.
I sneak on the computer, edit on there, like thinking this is it. This is what I want to do. So.
And did you upload them anywhere at that stage, or
No,
they
there
were
wasn't.
just there was nothing?
YouTube wasn't really a thing back then, and
What year was it? 2007.
seven, I think.
Seven. Yeah, I think YouTube.
It was out since 2005. Not well known.
So from the moment you got your hands on that Nokia, you were kind of hooked, and
Obsessed.
that planted the seed.
Yeah.
So then, over the next few years, what happened in terms of did you kind of take that further? Did you you have some training or qualification in video photography? Kind of, right? Okay.
Yeah, like from that point, I was like, I started at 16 years old, 15 or 16. I started rapping because I was making short films with my little brother, and then I started rapping and making music because I had nothing to film. I was like, if I'm by myself, I don't want to just film trees and grass and stuff outside. So I needed to have something to film. So I started writing music, started doing covers and stuff, and then I could put the camera on a tripod, record myself, go somewhere else, do it somewhere, and make myself music videos. And then did that for a couple of years. And I was actually pretty well known on YouTube back then because Ireland didn't have many accounts. I think we were the 5th or the 6th most subscribed YouTube channel in Ireland back in like 2008,
Really? That's
2009. And so, like, this was before it blew up mainstream.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Me and my brother would make parody videos of like known songs, and we'd get like 10 to 100,000 views per video. And this was pre like what it does now. You can make money off of it.
Those numbers back then would be
Crazy.
Absolutely huge now in terms of, because if a video has a big viewership nowadays, you're talking about a couple of million.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, if you were getting 100,000, like, that was huge back then.
And we were doing well. Like, it wasn't like amazing content. Like the how I'd do it, I didn't have an editing, like Windows Movie Maker wasn't like good. So what I would do is I'd record a video, and then there was a software called Nero, and it was a DVD burning software. You could edit videos, but you couldn't export them. So I'd edit the video, then I'd take my camera and record again from the screen, and then upload that to YouTube, because then I'd have an edited project. So that's...
You were already figuring things out.
I had it. If I kept doing that, like, I would be all right. I'd be set right now. But no, doing the music for a bit. I was doing gigs and stuff, and then I went to Pulse College. My grandmother from Cootal.
Pulse is in Dublin?
Pulse is in Dublin, yeah. Right. Film production in Pulse College.
Oh, so it's a film production, right. And that's, was that a 1 year, 2 year?
It was a 2-year course, but it was my grandmother, Margaret, she paid for me to go. It was a private college. She believed in me, and she paid for the first year.
Brilliant.
And, like, you could tell. Like I wasn't like because everybody there kind of like had things together, or they came from like pretty good backgrounds because everyone had their normal hard, like just a normal hard drive, and everyone had their laptops or whatever. I went in and I dismantled Skybox and ripped out the 500
Hard drive.
gigabyte hard drive just so I could have a hard drive. But then I had to figure out how to plug that into a Mac or a computer. So I had to like duct tape these wires together to have it in a box. And all the Lewis tickets I bought just to go to college, I stuffed in this box so it wouldn't wiggle around. You could tell I was like, I was just so out of place. And the college was cool, but it didn't teach me anything that I wanted to know. It was more about networking. So they taught you, like they had people come in and talk. I think we had the fella who wrote Love Hate come in for a bit, and he spoke to us about how his process and stuff. And it was more about processes, but it wasn't like things I wanted to learn. I wasn't really interested in like full on sets. I just like creating stuff. So I appreciated going, but it didn't fulfill that, like whatever the itch was for me to create. It didn't do, which music videos did,
Yeah.
So
And so that was, what year was that? 2017?
2000, when was I? 11 years ago. So what's 11 years ago?
Okay, right.
2014.
Okay, so then
I was 19.
So you did 2 years or 1 year in there?
Just one.
Just one, okay. But you got kind of, I'm getting it anyway, that you already had a lot of skills developed by then.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like the college. Not that I didn't like. Okay, didn't like is a strong word because the college is great. The facilities are like amazing, but the thing I didn't like was like I wrote so many scripts I wanted to be a director. Like I wanted to direct projects that I had came up with.
Yeah.
And there was only 16 of us in the class. They knew I wasn't doing the second year, and there was 9 projects made. Not one of them were mine. Not one of them did I get to direct. There's only 16 of us. Like and they're all, and most of them were all going to do the second year, so they had opportunities to do another project, and I'd let them know from the get go. And it's a very expensive college. Like you're talking 8,000 a year. So not getting to direct was like I'm done with this play. Like I didn't even want to do the second year. And I wrote some pretty good scripts. I still have them. They're pretty good stuff. So I was disheartened. I guess my character back then, I was quite enthusiastic and bouncy. So maybe it was something to do with my person. But yeah,
So you did a year. You came out of that. Obviously, you would have learned a few bits, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then what led you then to setting up your own little business, Will Say Media?
Well, Will Sain was actually my rap name. So, because it's a mix of my mother's surname and my stepfather's surname, Wilson, Blaine, putting together to get Will Sain. So Will Sain Media was just like, I was rapping and then I formed like a hip hop group in Boyle. It was like made up of a few of my friends and then some other people that started joining in. I said about 6 or 7 of us. We started doing gigs in Boyle, but we didn't have a name. And I was like, I was just doing I wasn't rapping anymore, really. I was just doing the content and the videos and getting gigs. And I was like, okay, so what do I do? So I was like, my Facebook page had like 500 followers. And I was like, I don't want to lose these 500 followers and make a whole new page. I'll just put media at the end of my rap name and that should be fine. So Will Say Media came about from just trying to set up like a record label sort of thing. And it was working. We were doing pretty well. But like, I think the poster's still there from 7 years ago. But outside the laundry, where the phone box is?
Yes.
Is the phone box still there?
I don't think so, no.
No. Our poster was in there for about 6 years, like from for the Ali Bar. I don't know if you Ali Bar with Michael Higgins, who was running it at the time. Shout out Michael Higgins, like legend. But yeah, we just started doing gigs around Boyle and making music videos. Like if you there's a whole, if you go through my YouTube and go back in the day, like you'll see Boyle is like constantly posted. And even then, back then, I did the hotel, the Royal Hotel. We made a video. Me and my missus made a video of us breaking in.
I heard about this.
Yeah, and I didn't want to upload this video, but I was like, it's too good of a video back then. I was terrified.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about breaking into the Royal.
Yeah, breaking into the Royal. Like, I was obsessed at the time watching travel videos. And I was like, I want to start travel videos. But I never got to travel anywhere. And I was like, well, there's me and Mrs. I love run down things. I'm obsessed with looking at them, and I was like, the hotel's there. We'll just try and see if we can get in. So we, ran out the back, grabbed the camera, and tried to make one of these travel videos to start off. Because I had this idea of like traveling around Ireland and doing like run down places and filming them and keeping them captured. So me and the missus like, just let's go around the back here and have a look. Filmed us doing it, and then by the time we went home, I was like, I can't upload this. Like, I have people like I did videos for like the Pride of Place with Chris O'Dowd. I did videos for the town and stuff, and I had names like Frankie Feehan and Sean O'Dowd, and everyone saying my name and knew who I was. So if I upload this video, these people are gonna be like, how dare he? Like, you're breaking into the royal huts. Like, that's outrageous. How that's illegal. And I was like, I really want to upload this video though. So I uploaded it, and lo and behold, everybody loved it. Like, it got thousands of views. This is why I like it, because the amount of people that commented, like especially the older generation, would comment in on the video being like, oh, I remember when I did such and such and we went here for dinner dates, and so many messages from people being like, thank you for doing that. Yeah. Sean O'Dowd shared it. I think he put it on his website. I'm not sure.
Because you would probably have one of the last footage of the royal from the inside anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very important. You probably saw the back last summer. There was an exhibition in the Royal for people's stories from the Royal and stuff like that. It was more of a research. Greer, who actually did the research on it, she recorded a podcast with me last summer, but it's very interesting. But yeah, you would have had probably, Ciaran, one of the last bits of footage, because not many people, when it was in a dilapidated state, and it got really bad from what I've seen in photos and stuff like that. So it's nice, it's nice to have that footage, because, and it turned out okay for you.
Yeah. Like, you
didn't go to jail.
That's it. Like, I was just afraid of being shunned by the community. How dare he? Like, this is like people, like I said, people still didn't realize I wasn't a blow-in. Like, I'm front. So how dare this guy comes in and starts breaking into our buildings and getting views of our name. It's like, but no, having people reach out and say it was like, because like, to be fair, the intention was never like, I'm going to do this for the community. This was for me just to make a cool video, see if I like run down buildings, so I was just going to film it. So,
and then going from doing stuff for, out of passion and having a bit of crack, how did you then transition to getting paid for your work? Like, what was your first gig paid, and Boyle even?
The Alley Bar.
The Alley Bar.
The Alley Bar.
Okay,
the best.
How did that come about?
Because while I was running the Will Say Media group of like hip hop and artists, I reached out to an artist who went viral on Facebook for like 180,000 views for a video, and he didn't have many followers at the time. His name's Craig Cooney, and we reached out to him just because of the virality. We're like, hey, man, we're doing something. Nobody's picked you up yet. Do you want to come over to Boyle from Dublin and do a video? So he came down with his missus. First time we met him, and he loved it, because like where he was, there wasn't like a hip hop like community sort of thing, and there was like 8 of us now. Like, he's in a room full of 8 rappers. We can all do things together. So he came down. We went to the Alley Bar. It was like literally just opened. After I don't know how many years or how long, but whoever owned it previously. But I went into the Alley Bar, and I was like, whoever was behind the bar, assuming the person behind the bar was running the bar. I think his name was Gary. And I was like, how are you, man? Is there any chance I could shoot a music video in the back? And he's like, hell yeah, go ahead, no worries. So I was like, sweet, like, because most people don't say yes. So we ran out the back, all of us, like, hip-hopped up, music blaring, shoot this music video for Craig, and then we left. And in the video, you see the actual owner, Michael Higgins, moving kegs and stuff, and I just thought he was just a worker, like, didn't know who he was. And he's seen the video, and he also seen the video I did for my mum singing, so he got in contact and was like, Ciaran, do you want to we're doing an opening night with the Black Sundays playing on Saturday. Do you want? When I read that, I was confused. Black Sundays on Saturday. So yeah, he's like, come down and do a video, and I was like, yeah, no bother. Like, not asking for money. He wasn't offering money. I was like, I just want to make a video. So I went in, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, being like, I got a job. This is awesome. So I tried to make the coolest, flashiest video I could make. I had it edited that night. I was like, I'm gonna have it from tomorrow, like, because I was pretty fast. And I went in to the pub the next day. He handed me 100 quid. Then he saw the reception it got, and I was like, 100 quid. Oh my god, this is 100. Like, I just made 100 euros for one day's work. And then he saw the reception it got. Came back up to me the next day. And he was like, here's another 100. I was like, this is it. I know exactly what I want to do. This is it right now. This is the career defining moment. I want to make content. I want to make videos. And then not only was that video good for his business, but he promoted me everywhere. This is why I started getting videos around Boyle. It was because he didn't stop bragging about, like, oh, you got to get Ciaran, get him to do
Brilliant.
videos. So I was doing videos for like the tattoo shops, cafes, the stairs before it disappeared. And then I got Pride of Place, and did all these, like, I did a documentary for Fáilte Ireland or something. It was like the tourist board in Boyle. They hired me to do a video of a dinner that was ran by Creative Ireland. It was like some sort of, I'm not sure, but I made a documentary. It took me 3 days to film and then however long to edit. And no, I didn't get paid a huge amount. I should have, because it was actually still a really good video. But that's how I got.
Okay, so your first gig was That Time in the Alley.
Yeah.
And after that, then you saw the light. You were thinking, this is it. I have the passion. Now I have someone that threw some money into my hand.
Mm-hmm.
How did you started doing some more videos and that, and then you kind of went about it and got a little bit more professional and said, right, I'm going to set things up. Will Sane Media came about properly.
Yeah.
And then do you do weddings, or have you done weddings or stuff like that, like videography on weddings? Because I presume that would have been a natural kind of transition.
Yeah, I did my first wedding for local legend Johnny McGlynn. I did his wedding.
King House, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
And I was terrified.
I was going to say pressure at a wedding.
And I only had one camera, a gimbal, and one battery, and I had to do a whole wedding. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. But the wedding was class. Like, it was one of the better weddings I've been to, just because Johnny gets up on stage with his band, they start playing. You're like, yo, this is that's exactly what you want to see at a wedding. But I made the video and he loved it. It was like the highest paid gig at that time for me, which was like, yo, I should do weddings. I'm very good at them. Like, right. But I don't advertise them because I don't I want to be known for. I don't want to be the wedding guy. And I know people who do weddings, they get stuck.
And they get kind of pigeonholed as well in that instance.
And they get paid, but you're someone's wedding every day, watching them.
You hear the same. You hear the same with wedding photographers.
Yeah.
And while it pays well and all that, and your calendar is stacked.
Yeah.
Sometimes
burnout.
Yeah. And the creativity as well, I presume, wouldn't be there. Maybe more so for photography.
I can with video, compared to some of the videographers I've seen that do weddings, who do them kind of mid to range to cheap to mid range prices. I'm looking at the content and be like, yo, step it up. Like, come on, because I believe in telling good stories, and you can tell a great story at a wedding. You just have to know how to edit. Like, editing is the biggest part.
That's it. I've always heard that as well.
Yeah.
Especially when...
And sound design.
Yeah. Which a lot of people wouldn't even understand.
If you see water, put the sound of water in the video. If you see
an airplane going by,
put it in. Like, that's the gold right there. Is if you're creating content and you see, like, us here now, as soon, even just doing that, accidentally put that, don't put that exact sound in. Go and find one online, or literally get the two glasses together and clink them together and record it.
Where I really saw that come into effect, you probably may or may not have seen it, but I always remember when I saw this first. It was called The Watchmaker of Turkey or something. You know this? Yeah. And you know that, like, it's going through all these markets and going up. Anyone that hasn't seen that should check that out.
And that's 12 years old.
It's ancient. It's ancient in that. But the sound design on that was amazing. Like, the birds flying and just the quick flap of the wings. It was just an amazing piece. So 2 or 3 minutes long. I don't know what it was, but it is an amazing piece.
I only watched it the other day.
Yeah, I've watched it so many times, and you're just in awe about the skills and the sound design, as we said. So yeah, obviously the editing, as you said,
Mhm.
which I know you're big into now, you're kind of moving in that direction. We can get to that later on, but there's a lot into, like, people think that shooting a video is, and look, we all have phones now, and the phones do a good job to certain extents, right? But like when I suppose the phone came along for photographers, everyone suddenly has the option, or has the ability to take photos, but there's a difference.
Yeah.
And the difference is
100%.
when it comes to that part after you click the shutter, is the editing.
Yeah.
So that in itself is a different skill set completely. So moving forward then to maybe 2020, Ciaran, COVID comes around.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
COVID's the year I became an official business. Like
Oh, really?
the day COVID, like I was working, I'd say before that I was working, I did KFC in Carrick, I was with the Tai Chi in Boyle, I did the Bazaar, I was working so many jobs before I became an official business, and I kept poking and prodding at like people being like, I want to be a business. How do I do this? I want to, and I just kept knocking on the door until they've eventually caved in. I'm like, all right, fine. Here's the things you need to fill out, because I was doing the back to work education, or a back to work allowance. So I was still on. I could claim social welfare for 2 years and still make money. But it's basically, they help you out a little bit. They give you a boost. And I was poking at them for ages, but they said you needed all to fill all this criteria. So I did all this separate work just to be able to buy camera lenses or whatever I needed to buy. So yeah, so then once I officially decided that's it, I'm being an official business, I quit KFC. They begged me to stay. They were like, "Oh, we'll give you 1 day a week. You stay. We'll give you 1 day a week." They loved me, and then I was like, "No, I'm going. That's it. I'm self-employed. I can't be employed if I'm being self-employed. I want to make this full time." Then COVID hit, 2019. I remember 2019 December, and I remember because I got mad sick. Like 2019 was the worst sickness I've ever felt in my life. Me and my brother, Christmas Day, woke up, couldn't move.
So then, I think it was March 2020 then, Ciaran, when the country kind of went into lockdown.
Yeah, and that's when I found out I was going to be so country went into lockdown in March 2020, and then I found out I was going to be a father in March 2020. My missus told me, but she didn't know for a few months because she didn't grow. She wasn't growing. So I think it was 4 or 5 months before she figured out that she was pregnant, just because she didn't know, because she didn't grow. And then because she wasn't growing, we kept going back to the doctors, and the doctors kept being like, just keeping an eye on her, sort of thing. And then 2 months before his due date, they had to take him out, like
Right.
cesarean C-section,
Prematurely
by 2 months, because his lungs weren't working. And he wasn't growing, like he was tiny. She should have been out here at 32 weeks, but she was like, it was hardly even showing. So yeah, they pulled her in. Like I brought her to the hospital. They gave her like a steroid injection, and then I had to bounce. I wasn't allowed, because of COVID. I wasn't allowed to stay in the hospital with her. I was lucky enough to go with her that day, but they kicked me out. So I got a lift home, and by the time I got home, I got a phone call from my missus in bits. She's like, "They're taking the baby out of me right now. And I've only literally just landed from Sligo to home. So, I'm like, what? Oh, stop! I haven't got a car right now. Like, I'm just still trying to figure out how to get my license. So I'm calling my friends. I'm like trying to figure out. I'm in bits. So this was tough, and eventually get back down to Sligo for like 10 p.m. But the baby's he's already out. Like, so I get there, and I remember seeing him in the hallway. Like I was waiting in the hallway for ages, and they were bringing him out of one room in one of those incubators, and they were bringing just across the hallway to another room. And I sprinted, and I just saw him. I saw him for 2 seconds, and you just see him like they have the tube in his nose to feed him and stuff, and you just see him trying to pull it out, and I'm just like, that's my son. That's my son. That's Theo, And then I went to see my missus. So that was a tough time. That was.
He came through and everything.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like he's a
Brilliant
beast. But like we weren't allowed to hold him. They have in the incubator, you could put your like hand in, so you can like hold their hands and fingers, and his fingers were smaller than Tic Tacs. Like he was 2 pound, 5 or 6 ounces, tiny, and adorable though. Like adorable, but like premature babies ain't exactly adorable all the time. But he was adorable, you know.
So then, with that, what time frame then was, what month was he born in? That would have been the
1st
summer.
of July, which was
Okay.
the same day I got the letter to say I'm an official business. So my son is the exact same age as my business.
That's interesting.
Yeah, on the same day I had Theo and I had Will Say Media as official.
And then obviously in the background of all this, you know, you have this mayhem of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a massive amount of uncertainty then as well,
Mm-hmm.
I presume, from even a business perspective. You're starting this business, you're bringing a child into the world, and all of a sudden the world is going crazy in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing is Theo.
Theo was
that's brilliant.
He was like, now, you know, we had scares,
of course,
while he was there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to hold him for like 4 or 5 days. Only because, you know, COVID, hands.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then the day that I was getting told I was allowed to hold him, I just picked up my camera and I just started filming my journey, you know, just putting the camera down and filming, because it was eerie. I got on the train from Boyle to Sligo. Nobody was on the train. And every seat had those papers that were like 2 meters apart, only one person per chair, or you couldn't sit next. So all this is around. It felt it was so weird. It felt apocalyptic. And I was like, I have to film this. It's too strange not to. And get up to Sligo. Hallways are empty. Streets are empty. Hospital isn't empty, obviously, because people are like, but there was a lot of people outside the hospital because you weren't allowed in, and it was a unique experience. And to anybody who did go through like becoming a parent in 2020, regardless of it being premature on my end, it was hard. And went in to see him for the first time, and I got to pick him up, and it was, oh man, like it was the best moment of my life. I was just like, I don't matter no more. No more do my goals, ambitions. No, he matters. It was not, and his head was like this, you know, in the palm of my hand, like
size of an apple.
Oh my days, man! Like and like people don't prepare you for parenthood, but you kind of had like an idealistic thing in mind. You're in the hospital, everyone's around, like, oh, say how, and that wasn't for me and Molly. That wasn't our fate. Like ours was to do this, and what she went through. Yo, shout out to my missus, like, cause, whew, she was amazing, like how she went. Like I'm talking about how I felt, what she went through, and had to stay in like without me, and I wasn't even allowed to be there. So shout out to my missus, because Molly, you killed it.
That's a nice little story. So you documented
it, and then we won an award because it was a music bed did a competition about COVID. It was like, how has COVID changed your life? And I was like, hello. So I made this, and I made it. I cried while I made this video. Like I couldn't even, like, it was so hard for me to like put into words how I felt while I was doing it. And I seen the thing for the challenge or the competition. I did not want to enter. I was like, at the time, I was like, if I do this, I'm basically using my child as like, you know, I'm using him to try and win an award. I was like, that's horrible. I can't do that. And then the deadline was getting closer, and I was like, no, man, I want people to know who he is and what happened. And I put it in, and we got, I think it was like 3,000, 4,000 entries. We got top 50 for People Choice, and it gave, like, top 3 got like big prizes, but we got like €1,000 for for becoming top 50, and that was because people voted as well. Brilliant. When people found out, Boyle, everybody I know, they all voted and made sure like we were top 50. So yeah, it was beautiful. So yeah,
that's a nice story to mark a very troubled time. You know, especially. Yeah. But you know what? It's great that you were even videoing the train, the seats in the train, because no more than that conversation, like in years to come, people will want to know about what was the COVID days like. Mm-hmm. So I remember during COVID, myself and Florence, we went out taking photos around Boyle back. I remember it was like May 2020, and it was just you could hear the birds in the middle of the town. It was so sterile. The weather, blue sky, really hot, and not a sinner around. And I just remember saying, because I'm into photography, I just remember saying, these are photos in years to come that we look back on, and just, because it hopefully will never happen again. I don't think it will.
No.
But it's very important, and it's great that you have video documentary stuff of that time as well, because it is so important to remember.
Yeah. Well, everybody was doing stuff at home, That's when people started becoming like, oh, I'm a filmmaker now. I do this thing now. And I've never been that person to be like, look at me, like maybe when I was like 15 when I was doing vlogs, but I wasn't like, but this felt like I needed to film, like as a kid. So, I wasn't posting a lot, but I posted that, and I was like, I'm still one of my proudest pieces.
Yeah,
it's not narrative, it's not like flashy, it's not. It's just
doesn't need to be. It's
just the story.
Yeah, exactly. So then going forward, Ciaran, you've done a number of different projects. One I want to talk to you in depth a little bit more about features Mark Atwood from. Who's now Live 5D Health and Boyle.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, you mentioned something to me earlier about, is it Ben Williams, a boxer?
That's my most recent project.
That's your most recent one?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So the first project I did was 6 months after Theo was born, or 6 to 8 months, was Vultures. And it was because at the end of the year, Craig Cooney, who I mentioned before, he wrote a verse. And the verse stood out to me, like it felt story and narrative. And then at the end of 2020, there was a spike in knife crime in Ireland. And back then, I think 3 people from Sligo were actually, in the altercation of knife crime and ended up losing their lives. And a few people in Dublin did, all in the beginning of 2021. And I was like, we got to shed a light on this somehow. Like, I want to shed a light on this, and then also tell a good story and make a film. So we came up with this concept of like a music video / short film. So it'd be like film, music video to tell the piece. And yeah, it was it was a tough project because it was the first time I ran a crew of like 9 people, 10 people. I had a cinematographer, I had sound guys, I had actors, I had all these people around me looking at me for this. Like, I was just making things up. Like, I now I'm here doing this, directing this piece. But and to top it off, the first time I meet everybody on set, I locked my keys in my car, and all my stuff's in my car. So I had to call a locksmith before we even did the first shot to come in. So that won a few awards, and then 2022 is when I did Where You At with Mark Atwood.
So that's for anyone that doesn't know, it's not been released yet, hasn't it? Officially,
it's not. You can buy it. You can purchase it if you go to the link on Mark's website.
So that was. Give us some context then, just about what that feature-length documentary was about and what it entailed, and we can kind of get into the specifics. So you had to go and travel overland around the States for a whole month.
Right. Yeah.
How did that come about? And yeah, give us some kind of context about that, Ciaran.
Well, I met Mark in 2020 as well. Another milestone, I suppose. And I met him through a friend who had a shop in Boyle called was it Keep the Fire Burning by Dale. He was an artist called Dale Vermin.
Oh yes, I met Dale
he had
times,
a t-shirt shop. So I did a video for Dale, met Mark Atwood in a pub one time. And Mark's like, I don't know this guy, but in the pub he was like, I need you to do me videos, man. And I'm like, sure you do. Like, everybody says that to me. Like, the amount of people who come up to me and be like, yo, I'm going to hire you for this. And you're like, right, you just take it with a pinch of salt. But he was serious. He called me like a week later and was like, I have this poem. I want you to film it. And he did Rudyard Kipling's poem If.
You did his poems and
I did all the stuff way before. That's why he took me to America, because I was doing all his poem videos, and then I started doing like helping him with his vlogs and stuff. But before America, we were doing videos in Boyle. Like the first one, If, was filmed in Lockheed, and that hit hundreds of thousands of views online. People were repeating the poem everywhere because he rewrote it for like 2020, COVID,
yes,
Donald Trump. I don't know if you heard it, but
I did, yeah.
And then I did the rest of them. Fuck YouTube. What
That's
else was
right.
there? Yeah, there's I see you. No, we see you.
Is that the one about the elites, or is that
Yeah,
the one
he's in a
about the
chair,
elites?
in a
Yes,
dark
yeah,
chair,
yeah.
right? And I did all like it was a bro. You should see the actual original shot. It's there's stuff everywhere. It's in the middle of a shed, and I had to make it all black and try and make it mysterious. And my brother Joe, who was part of the rap group back then, he did all the audio, and it got to a point where Joe was doing recording all his audio in his house. So Mark would go to his house, do the audio, and then come to me for the video. And Joe recorded one of Mark's poems that was actually played during one of Anthony Joshua's headline fights.
Really?
Yeah, one of the boxers on the undercard used Mark's poem as his walkout tune on Sky Sports, and me and Joe was just like, my brother Joe was like, that was recorded in my room. I recorded that. That's me. That was, and I'm just like, yo, Joe, that's so cool, because my brother is so good at music. Yeah, so we were just like, that's hype. Like, whether you like the poem or not, like,
Doesn't matter.
it's on Sky Sports and it was recorded in Boyle, like in just in a gaff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so to know that your work can get that far is like
Amazing.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, that's so dope, bro. Let's go. So Mark, and we cheered with Mark, like, so he just kept doing his work, and then one day he turns around to me and he's like, Ciaran, going to America, and I'm like, what? He's like, we're going to America. I was like, well, I can't just get up and, it's an opportunity of a lifetime, Ciaran. We're going, like, you know you're going. All right, let me just have a chat with people first. So yeah, I didn't think it was real. You know, when people like, he's like, we're touring the entire United States. And he was selling me the dream. I was like, it does sound good though. So I said it to me, Mrs. I was like, I've been offered the opportunity to travel America for 30 days. She's like, go, do it. And I was like, but Theo, she's like, he's not going to remember. Just go. I still felt bad. And then just getting into America was
Was your first
my
time?
first time traveling. Like, I think I was my second time on a plane. First time was to Amsterdam, you know? And I never traveled on a plane before 2020. Like, I was, so this was like an 11-hour flight to 11-hour flight to LA. Nuts, but getting into, because Mark's such a controversial character, and people have like, I love Mark. I don't care what anyone says about Mark, who has spoken to me about, like, Mark is a legend, but there's people who are like, I think he's a controversial character, who have told me, Ciaran, why are you working with Mark? I'm like, because he's great. No matter what youth believe in, or what I believe in, or what he believes in, as a person, he's a great person. So but that's why when I was going into America, get there, we have our suitcases. I have this giant case full of camera equipment, and then my bag, I've got barely anything to have clothes. Like, I've got like, I was just thinking about getting cameras over there. I didn't care about what I was wearing. And then we get through security, and like, this is 2022. COVID was still like,
Yeah, it was still
existent,
coming out of the kind of crutch hold of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we get to the airport, and I get, like, they pull me aside and put me in a room for an hour, questioning me
Because you had the bags,
because the camera equipment was. It was a giant case with all this camera equipment. They were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm filming. Going to visit a friend. I don't know. I didn't know what I wasn't prepared."
Did you actually have an idea of the scope of what the tour was about, or did you?
Oh, yeah.
You did. Okay, right. You didn't want to divulge it to them.
Yeah,
maybe.
I just didn't like the controversial stuff that Mark talks about. Involves saying things like, Biden isn't a good person, and he was president at the time. We get to the airport, and I get pulled aside, and all Mark's content is about, Trump he should be leader. Mark's been talking about this stuff online for years, for people like the elites, QAnon stuff, speaking what he believes is the truth, what his people believe is the truth. So when I was going through the airport, they pulled me aside because of my suitcase full of camera equipment. And then the next minute, I'm in a room waiting for ages to talk to somebody, and they pull me into a room, and they start questioning me, like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm thinking, okay, so he's probably going to get to America, and I'm going to have to stay here. So I tell them, I'm here, I am touring America, I'm filming like a documentary. And they're like, "Who are you filming a documentary on?" I'm like, "Mark Atwood." And I didn't want to say his name because they'll start searching him now and see that he's like saying "fuck their president." You know, all the elites are scum. There's lizard queens. You know, Tom Hanks and the Epstein Island. All this stuff he has on his YouTube channel, and I tell them who I'm with, and I can't. These guys are like Americans. They have like guns on the hip kind of thing. They're
gonna find out.
They're gonna find out regardless. And they're like, what does Mark talk about? And I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out the easiest way to say things. I'm like, he's a poet. He's a poet. That's all I'm telling them is he's a poet. He does poems online. And they're like, and what's he doing in America? And I'm like, poems. Like he's touring and doing, and they're like, poems? I'm like, yeah. And they're quizzing me on Mark, like, what's his YouTube channel and how long are you staying? Like, what places are you going to visit? And what is his poems about? And I'm like, I'm cold sweat is dripping down my forehead while I'm talking to these people because I'm thinking they're going to turn around and kick me out, and I'm going to get banned from America. They're never going to let me in because I'm trying to film such controversial stuff. Eventually, I'd say about after an hour, like, or half an hour, an hour of being quizzed, they eventually be like, "All right, go on." But they still had to go look him up. They looked him up while I was there.
Was Mark being questioned at all?
No,
just
Mark
you because
just
you
got through. Like,
right.
And that was the thing. Like, you needed to prove back then that you were vaccinated. You weren't allowed to travel without vaccinations for a certain period of time. We didn't get vaccinated. I'm not vaccinated. Mark's not vaccinated. So we got cards that were like, we bought like these cards.
Back then you could get the kind of like
we are under was it the card that tells you that you're not getting jabbed because you're medical
for a medical reason. Yeah. There was those cards that you could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had one of those, and then they never asked for any of it. This whole getting into America was supposed to be scary, and you needed all these. They didn't ask for a thing, which was confusing because
for a good 2 years you were told you couldn't.
Yeah.
And now I know a lot of places wouldn't probably let you out of the country if you didn't show your papers.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that what you hear in the media isn't always the truth.
And me especially knows how to manipulate. Even since I was 4 years old, I've known how to manipulate the media because the first thing I ever got before a camera was I don't know if you remember Talk Boys.
Oh,
it's heard the name. For a cassette tape for recording your voice, and you had a microphone that popped out.
Oh yes, basically like a little dictaphone in a way.
Yeah, but the Talk Boys are expensive now. Like, but from 4 years old, I got one of those for the first time. I knew you could manipulate people because I'd come up to you with the Talk Boy and be like, start recording and be like, "Do you like smelling farts?" And then I'd stop recording, and then you say no, and then I'd say, "Do you like eating ice cream?" And then I'd start recording again.
Yes.
Say, yeah. Since 4 years old, I knew you could manipulate. So if I could do it at 4,
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what the media could do?
Exactly.
Like, so so getting into America was so strange that apart from me getting questioned, no papers, nothing, no masks. People weren't wearing masks.
And you got in. You got in, and then you had was it 17 cities or 17 speaking gigs over 30?
18 shows, 17 cities,
right.
21,000 miles in 31 days.
And you drove all that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy because when I was watching the documentary, and it's a 1 hour, 40-minute feature-length documentary, and it's so, like, myself, Florence, watching it, we were just going like, this is so well done. Like, it really is an absolute... If you didn't tell me someone from Boyle at the time or that was living in Boyle put this together, I'd think it was just your standard documentary that you see on the TV. For me, there was no difference. You know, it's well done. And look, what kind of logistical problems or hurdles did you as the documentary maker, and it was only you.
Mhm.
There was no one else,
No.
and you had to kind of you were documenting basically Mark's kind of tour around the States.
Yeah.
So what kind of hurdles, obstacles did you encounter, Ciaran, during the? Because I'm thinking straight off from when I go traveling and I'm just documenting my own journey from, I'm thinking of cameras, have I enough batteries, memory cards. How did that go then? You weren't editing on the way or anything. I presume were you just
I was going to
right?
bought a laptop specifically for it, but laptop couldn't handle 4K log footage.
So you were shooting in log, which for anyone that doesn't know, it's like you get all the detail,
Mhm.
everything, so you can properly color grade after the
Yeah.
fact, right?
You just have more room to work with, like,
Yeah.
and grading is so much nicer. But like, I tried and the thing is, the idea was to be able to like even put up bits of content for Mark. But so problems I dealt with, that was one of them. And when you're in a car and trying to edit in a car, driving around American roads, not exactly ideal. So even having a laptop open. And then when you're in an RV and this thing is, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years old, rickety, is shaking, and you're trying to edit, very hard. But yeah, the laptop was necessary because I just had to data wrangle all the time. I was like the end of the day, every day I was data wrangling gigabytes of footage. Data wrangling is storing footage onto a hard drive, and I'd have to do it through a laptop. So
Are you making backups then of?
no, I only had one hard drive.
See, that would actually terrify me.
Yeah.
Even with my own personal stuff, never mind for a business or a project. That's where I would be like.
Yeah.
But I suppose the fact that you are shooting in such high, with a high data rate, that maybe you'd have to carry double the amount of
You'd
hard
think.
drives.
You just get a 4 terabyte, you're good.
Would you be okay with 4?
Yeah, I was okay with 4. I think his is 5, but I still didn't even use 5 terabytes.
And how many hours of footage then do you think you would have had shot over those 30 days?
I mean, 60 to 100 hours of footage.
Right. See, then that, for me, then would be, and for most people, that the headache then of
going through it.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so as we all know, shooting a documentary, you're capturing raw, unscripted moments.
Mm-hmm.
But then, how do you have to have a structure in the background then in your own mind? How does that play in then? How do you kind of say, okay, I know what I want to kind of what I want to shoot, what kind of angle I want to go. How then do you kind of keep it? Because it was, for anyone that watched it or goes to watch it, it is very raw. And there's no scripting in there.
No scripting.
It is really good, but you still have to have an A, B, C going from here to tell the story.
I feel like a documentary like this didn't need as much, because normally when you do a documentary, you talk about something that's already happened. Like you have people in for interviews. How did this occurrence happen? And they answer, at the time I was feeling such and such. But this was, it's a documentary, but at the same time, like, I tried not to make it an over glamorized vlog. Like vlogs, you follow someone around with a camera and you hope, just hear what they talk about and stuff. Like, I didn't want it to be that. That was the last thing I wanted it to be. I hope it doesn't feel like that, but I didn't have to script anything because the story was happening before my eyes. I had 100 hours of footage, but I already knew where the key moments were, like, that I'd build, like, down the line. I knew when Mark said something outrageous, like the woman who cries, who meets him. I'm like,
oh, that's right, yeah,
that's amazing. The first time we go to Devil's Mountain and he's Devil's Tower and he's there, like, these, like, the RV was my favorite bit. The RV breaking down every 2 or 3 days, like, it was funny, but it wasn't at the same time. It was like, oh my days, like, we broke down in the middle of was it Wyoming, in the middle of nowhere at nighttime. The thing, we're outside and it's cold. Like, America's like warm usually, but like at nighttime when there's no sun and it's nothing around and you're looking at flat landscapes, it's cold. So the story kind of just unveiled itself to me as we went. There was moments I didn't put in. There was moments I definitely knew I wouldn't use. But structure all came down when I was editing. It was just when I was editing. It was like...
And then, obviously, what would have been a favourite standout moment during that month? Because, not many people would have had the chance to do literally a month-long project. Like, your goal from when you get up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night was to document this trip.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very intense, mentally, physically. And apart from that, you had to also travel, drive. You did some driving as well.
Yeah.
All literally, like, you went in a big kind of circle around the States, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was what was one standout moment that you really enjoyed, and maybe one really bad moment that you can talk about, of course?
Standout moment. America in general, just looking at the place, like as a moment. The thing about the tour was there was no like time for touristy stuff. So there was never like I say the standout moment would be seeing Devil's Tower. Like we were supposed to go to Mount Rushmore, we didn't. We were supposed to go to Niagara Falls, and we didn't. So like, but seeing that the Devil's Tower and how cool it was and how big it was, that was pretty cool. But people think I'm American anyway, so like being there and like because of my accent's torn apart. I probably should have mentioned that at the start, being like, I know I don't sound Irish, but as someone who holds a camera, America's just so good to look at through a camera, and I think that's this like just looking at how you see it in the movies, New York's and California's and Florida's. You see it on TV and the movies, but when you're there and you're like, it's not exaggerated for the most part. It just looks good. I don't know. Ireland is hard to make look good because it's trees and bushes. So, like, as a filmmaker, the standout moment is just filming America.
Yeah,
But
it's so diverse as well. Like, you have different landscapes: the north, the west, the south. And it is. And you got to experience
the experience.
A good. Like, how many states in total did you?
I think it was 17 states. I'm pretty sure it was 17 states. But I'm trying to think of like a standout moment that I can actually talk about, because like that I can remember. Because trying oyster, trying octopus. I tried octopus.
What was that like?
Weird. It's chicken. It's just chewy chicken, but the
rubbery.
Oyster, yeah. But the oysters are weird with the pop.
And then a moment then that you would kind of say, like, would the long days of travel like really?
100%. I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been a traveler much in my I know I've traveled a lot. I've lived in, before I was 20, I lived in 29 houses. I've never not been moving, but this was otherworldly traveling. Like, you're in an RV for 12 hours a day with people you don't know. You get to know them along the journey, obviously, but the travel, man, like, I'm so glad I'm not doing, like, it would have been cheaper for us to get flights, or not cheaper, it would have been more expensive to get flights, but it would have been so much, like, you get there 2 days earlier than you're supposed to.
And then I suppose the question would be, would you do it again in a similar kind of scenario of following a group around, doing tours? If it was the same, more or less the same kind of a setup in terms of you have to drive everywhere, on a longer, if someone said to you, look, we need you to do what you did, they'd have
to pay me nicely,
of course, because
it's a huge commitment. But I would, if the story was right. I love telling stories. I love telling stories that people haven't told. This was definitely one of them. No, like, people, like, especially here, don't know about the Truth Tour or the stuff they stand for. They hear Donald Trump fans and people who are talking for Donald Trump and everyone thinks they're nuts, like over here anyway, to an extent.
To an extent, yeah. A lot of people don't think like that anymore.
Yeah, there's not anymore. But I have still, like, not. I'm going to tell you that, but I've still not, like, openly turned around and been like, I'm a Trump supporter.
Of course,
like, I don't post online about my preferences.
You basically, because you're spending a month of your time day in, day out, from morning to night. So if you had to do it, it would have to make financial sense, because apart from anything else, the time commitment, and then, as we talked about earlier, shooting is one thing. What happens post? And that's kind of like the iceberg under the water. People don't see all that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I would do it again. I would do it
Yeah.
again, but the story would have to be something
the story. The story.
So the story would have to be the right story. It'd have to be something that really inspired me, like not just like I wouldn't do it for this type of film again because it's not an inspiring story. It's not a story that you can like. It's cool to see.
It's not creative. It probably wouldn't be as creative as you
Yeah.
said, because the story tells itself. So you don't get to really put in your input as
Yeah.
much as you probably would have liked in an instance like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like you said, the filming, I could film for 30 days. I could edit for a year. That Mark Atwood film took me
I was going to say how long?
about a year.
Really?
About 9 months. 9 months.
Wow.
And that was because I still had to make a living. You know, like Mark could pay me to do some editing that month, and then I still had to make a living and pay my bills. So
Yeah.
so I'd do other projects. So,
because you would have had to really kind of watch most of those 100 hours
over and over.
Yeah.
Making sure it flowed, and there was no one over my shoulder to be like, that's good, that's not good. You need criticism, but people like, it's like, hey, will you watch my feature-length documentary and tell me why it's good or why it's bad? And people are like, what's it about? Trump supporters, Republicans giving out speeches on tour.
Yeah.
They don't. They everybody's kind of like, everybody like in my circle has been like, I've had people watch it, but like at the end they're like, because it's not a Star Wars film or a Lord of the Rings, it's like, yeah, that was good, you know. So,
but there's also then the whole thing of in a world where our attention span is getting shorter and shorter.
Mm.
How do you then think people? Because I know for a fact a lot of people, well, maybe my generation, no, but definitely the younger generation wouldn't find the kind of the patience to sit down and watch a documentary, because it's the YouTube shorts, the TikTok shorts, the reels. So I suppose it's hard as well from your point of view, maybe to try and storytell in a way that captures the attention and yet tells the story.
Yeah.
So that's kind of and that attention span is dropping, so that it becomes even probably more difficult in your industry to capture that attention.
Yeah.
In longer form content.
People don't watch long form. Well, it's promoted on YouTube now.
Mm.
So if you make longer form content, people seem to be more engaged with long form content, but it's content. It's not a film, you know? Like, people can watch a fella talk about why, you know, such a celebrity has fallen off and where they are now. You know, people are like, are just interested, and they'll watch. There's millions of views on these, you know, minor celebrities, like, you know, B celebrities, not, you know, but even the bigger one. People will sit there for an hour and watch that. You see it in the views. But when you tell them, hey, here's a story about such a topic, I put a lot of work into this, it's not as well received. So you have to really your trailer has to do well. You have to do a good trailer. Like, trailers make or break a film.
Well, I've seen a few I saw the boxing one, I think, recently as well, and just again, it just looks like your run of the mill stuff that you'd see on TV. It's like so well done.
That's just a goal when I'm making something, because like for the past few years, like, I've focused on cinematic storytelling. Now, I'm not to say I'm the best at it, but I'm a jack of all trades. Like, I can do trailers, I can do the film, I can edit, and I'm kind of the person who's like, yo, if you try and bring someone else in and be like, yo, I'm gonna do this one now, sound effects, I'm like, yeah, but I want to do them though now. I want to do it. Like, I'm such a, like, I need to let go sometimes, but I've never had a project to let go. There's never been people around. You have to pay people to do their jobs. So why pay people when I can do it myself to work on these projects? But like, the Ben Williams thing was a passion project. Nobody paid me to do that. Like, I was just me trying to get my foot in the industry.
Build a portfolio.
Yeah, because the Mark Atwood film is great, but I've been reluctant to show it as a portfolio piece, even the trailer and stuff, because in case people are like, they assume that my political views and stuff like the people will not hire you
Of
nowadays.
course, no, I totally understand that.
So,
and that's a crazy way of, well, because like you as the filmmaker, your job is to be document. You're not in front of that screen.
Yeah.
You're just there to document. And I mean, but that's, as we know, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
You know, but I think,
and maybe that's just me being too critical. You know, maybe people are like, yo, that's just a fair play. That's, you did the job, but like I still have like, I don't know. I just feel like people, so, like it depends on where you go, but like showing people this documentary, they just might make the assumption that I made the decision to document Mark or something. Like if you watch the trailer, you know, there's Trump in the first thing is like Trump in the Oval Office, or Mark in the Oval Office with Trump and Melania like behind him. As soon as you see that, you'd be like, nope. As soon as you see that imagery, they're gonna be like, fucking Republicans, like so. So that's why that's what the Ben Williams film was.
Right.
It was to put my foot in the industry and be like, I can do projects, because Ireland is so hard to get into film. We are so,
it's not set up
so,
as well.
No, we are so niche. We have two TV channels. You know, we've had a handful of Irish films to come out, in my opinion, that were actually like good. You know, things like War of the Buttons. I don't know if you've ever watched War of the Buttons, one of the best films to ever come out of Ireland. But then you had series like Love, Hate.
Love, Hate was amazing.
And then, you know, but Vivarium. I don't know if you've seen Vivarium.
No.
You've not seen Vivarium? It was a short film at first called Foxes, back maybe in 2012. And then in 2021, I think it got made. Vivarium was made. It was about ghost towns in Ireland. But it was like, it was the first time Ireland has ever had like a crazy visual effect kind of twist to it. Like, it's an amazing piece. And it was based on the houses, the ghost estates in Ireland that nobody lives in them. And it's Jesse Eisenberg. Like, if you should get a watch, it's really good, really good.
It up, yeah.
Fitzpatrick, I think his name was, who made it. But Ireland, we just don't have the. So even if I wanted to make this crazy cool film, nobody's going to fund it. First of all, you have to know people in Ireland. So I'm trying to like I'm trying to carve a path and be like, you need me, you know, rather than me being like, yo, can you fund my film? Can someone hire me, please? It's like, no, I'm trying to get myself to a position where you need me. I know exactly how to do this. I've done it all. That's why I'm doing visual effects now. You know what I mean? Like, cause Ireland just, they don't like, especially here in the west of Ireland, we don't even have a green screen studio anywhere nearby or somewhere that like gives people opportunities to film. So I worked on one film. No, I didn't work on it at all, really. I did a bit of photography behind the scenes for Anne that was filmed in Boyle.
Oh yes, yeah.
I did a small bit of that, and I did it for free. They never used the photos, so I guess I was terrible back then. But there are photos anyway. I never considered myself a photographer anyway, but that's as far as I've gone on to a feature film set. You know, there's nowhere to apply for a job. You know, like you can, you get hired based on if the producer knows you or if the cinematographer knows you. Be like, yo, you could be second AC, you know, or you can hold the slate.
I think like it's a dog eat dog world though as well, and it's a very competitive world. But I think what you're doing is your own independent stuff. I think keep chipping away at that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a nice portfolio now. Your website is clean looking, you know, it is professional looking, and I just think, so what's kind of like in an ideal world, where does Ciaran be in the next 5-10 years?
I have tried every avenue and I'm still doing it. Like, I don't know what my niche is. I don't know what I want to do. I know what I want to do right now, but in 6 months' time it might change. I'm trying to do visual effects now and get good at that so that I can get hired for, you know, films like, and I'm obsessed with motion tracking and putting 3D objects into scenes and having things happen. Like, I've just got this, like, and I've had that passion for a long time, but I've had a passion for writing. I've had a passion for film, animation. I have never put myself in a box.
Yeah, pigeonhole kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, because I just like creating. Yeah. Like, so whatever happens next.
You have time though. I mean, you're only 30, so you have a bit of time.
You said, I like hearing that. Like, you're only 30.
You are. Like,
you know, like
you've as we know, everything is getting more visual these days. Video has in the last 5-10 years, video has just skyrocketed. That's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And you have skills in different industry, different parts now with the video, the editing. You're going into visual FX now, that sort of stuff. That's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
So and the fact that you can storytell, direct, all this.
I love directing.
Yeah.
Like that's the one. I have a like. You had I watched this documentary not even that long ago. Pete Higgins.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched this documentary on Betty.
Yeah.
And me and Mark have been talking about this. This is a project that
Mark was telling me about this before. I think it should be done. I think it'd be really cool.
I don't know if we both are aligned on like how we want it done, but I've written like almost a draft for Betty. Like I want to make a action comedy, sci-fi film
Marcus, he's kind of he's talked to me there the other day about this kind of idea, and I think it'd be a great showpiece for Betty as well, because remember Betty back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, she was, as we always say, she was very kind of ahead of her time in her forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We see what goes on now with the Pentagon and all this sort of stuff in the States. People don't bat an eyelid now about stuff when it comes to
desensitized.
Yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm.
But back in rural Ireland and Boyle in the 2000s, Betty was, quote, a bit of a quack, or but it's not. She was just very forward thinking, and she understood that advertisement for Boyle, there's no such thing as bad advertisement, and she was always trying to get Boyle on the map.
She was on the cover with Robbie Williams on it, like, and stuff.
That's right.
And
she
was like,
the magazine.
I've seen that in the doc. I thought that was great. Like, I think whether you believed her or not, I think you can't not believe that she believed that what she saw, and the things that she you can't say that she didn't believe in it.
Yeah. And her and mum were best friends.
Yeah.
And actually, Betty, when she died, she was laid out right here in this room, right here, just where we're doing this podcast.
No, you're messing with me.
That's where Betty was laid out, right here. That's where she was, because her house is just there, where she lived.
You're messing.
No
way. I didn't know.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I'm not
right here where we're sitting. This table is where Betty was laid out.
That's crazy. Like, and the idea of the film. Yeah.
So I think, in time, if you get to do that, and
it'll be down the line, I reckon, but
it should be done. I think it'd be lovely. A great for the town.
Yeah.
Because Betty was so well known and liked in the town. I think it'd be a great little tribute to her at some stage.
And I think that's something that Ireland will fund. Hopefully. I think because that's Ireland look for Irish stuff.
Yeah.
We like our normal stories and stuff, but I feel like you can take this one a little extra and be
and make it quirky, like as you said.
100%.
Because Betty liked poking a little bit of satire in her stuff as well. She knew people were laughing at her and she didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
She was laughing back at them in her own way. And she had she had different T-shirts made up back in the day with little kind of cartoonish things on it with her and a few little aliens coming around her, and she was having fun with it.
Yeah,
so I think it would be in jest with Betty's personality if you kept it that way.
Yeah, I need to do some more research on her, because you only find clip-ins and stuff on social media. Like the documentary was really good from Pete, but I need to do some, because I want to I'd love to make it, like you said, comedy, quirky, but I'd also want to keep some of the real things that she had going on, because I feel like that's where the goal is.
Absolutely. And Ciaran, where can people find it before we wrap up? Where can they find your work? Where can they get in contact with you if they have a need for doing some video work in the future or whatever?
Main place is Instagram, @willsain_media. You can reach me if you go to my website, willsainmedia.com. If it's still there, hopefully.
It was when I checked last.
It was when I checked. Okay, cool. Because I'm the worst with the website. But yeah, Instagram is my main place of contact.
Perfect. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed the chat with you. Fascinating insight into what goes on the other side of the lens, and I wish you all the best in the future. You're already a success, and I just wish you continued success, Ciaran.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me.